If I stressed over all this stuff, I'm already turning gray, and I know I've lost a couple of years off my life just due to the stress of this. I mean, it's really taken its toll on me. But no, you're right. And I can't believe that you're allowed to drive 5,000 gallons of atrazine, which is illegal in the country that manufactures it, 5,000 gallons of 2,4-D, which is half the ingredient Agent Orange, 5,000 gallons of all these crazy ingredients that are toxic, right down the road, parked it right in front of your house, and you have no legal repercussions whatsoever. I could take a truck and go park it right in front of your house, and there's no placards on it. I can drive it right over a water.
Right.
It's crazy.
And very few people are talking about. I mean, we saw what happened to you. We saw the blisters on the tongue, the blowing the blood out of your nose. You may be losing your eyesight and your things, and your case isn't said and done yet. I mean, and we'll be checking in with you on your medical progress. I know you have some pending surgery you're looking at. But what we're also not talking about is the delayed effect, because in the book, Evan's book, Poison Spring, he talks about the generational effects of these chemicals, that they are like radiation. They are like other synthetic petrochemicals, in that they affect your life processes all the way down to your genes. When I was in Vietnam, one of the places heavily sprayed by 2,4-D, there was an entire wing in the Museum of the American War, which is what they call the Vietnam War. They call it the American War for obvious reasons. But an entire wing dedicated to the people who are suffering, 4 million and counting, suffering from the Agent Orange that was dumped on their country, and the now third and fourth generation of birth defects still being born from the original application. They haven't even reached what they believe is the half-life of the damage, right? So, and Evan, we have you on the phone. Do you want to comment about the everlasting effect of these chemicals in our environment?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, since Rachel Carson and before Rachel Carson, we have known about the ecological effects of these chemicals. I cite in my book a report from two of my colleagues they did a study in the late 70s, and they wrote a report for us in 1983. And in that report they said that the cost to the natural world is in the billions, in fact trillions of dollars, if you take into consideration the millions of fish, the thousands and thousands of birds and so on. And they used the example of the organochlorines. Remember the DDT stuff, DDT-like materials? They practically wiped out the birds, the singing birds. So if you put all that together, you're talking about an incalculable cost, and no society can really survive, much less thrive, if the natural world is damaged to that degree. So, and then you talk about the human evidence, and the human evidence we have known from the 70s. In my book, Poison Spring, I have a detailed account of experiments that EPA itself funded in the late 70s, where women, a particular scientist, woman scientist at the Medical University of South Carolina, discovered that parts per billion of those organochlorines were causing trouble to mice before they were actually born. So you can actually follow up to what happens to human beings if the mother begins to eat the stuff that has all these chemicals in it, as it happens all the time. So we are paying a tremendous price, but the problem with this society is that we are so huge and so disorganized, and no one, that is particularly the medical establishment, does not put the dots together to say enough is enough.
That's my thought. My thought is that people are well-intentioned, and people don't understand the threat that these chemicals are causing. People that work with them every day don't realize the level of harm that they can cause, especially long-term, because it doesn't happen that day. They don't see it. But I really like your idea that the medical community needs to come out and say, this is affecting us. I mean, multi-generational effects are happening right now. And our children, just look at our children's population. I mean, I say it every episode of this show. Look at our children. They are not the same as they were when we were growing up. Kids have food allergies. They're allergic to food that will kill them. They have sensitivities. They have eczema. They have learning problems. They have asthma. It's time that cumulatively we look at the population and we say, hey, what could be causing this? And maybe we're not being careful enough. you know, Evan, you're right on target, and I thank you for speaking out about what you have seen at the EPA, and maybe that would be a good approach to start to contact medical groups and try and get them to speak out. Nursing groups, nurses I know are seeing this. And
I'd like to say something here, which is that the medical profession has been bombarded with propaganda from the chemical and pharmaceutical industries to an extent that doctors who do speak out are regarded as nutcases.
I had a heck of a